So, despite this year's offseason being incredibly eventful with tons of big moves made, free agency craziness, and interesting draft storylines, most of the top trade targets have yet to actually go anywhere. This offseason isn't over yet, so there is still time for moves to be made, but at this point it's all speculation. This leads us to the topic of today's video, where we'll be taking a look at an article posted by national media outlet Bleacher Report. In this article, they made a bold prediction regarding 5 of the biggest names on the NBA trade rumor mill, and as I've done countless times in the past, I'll be analyzing each of their predictions, discussing the likelihood of them actually happening, and what needs to happen in order for the trades to actually execute. If you want to read the actual article itself, it will be linked down in the description of this video as well. Before we start though, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as not only does it help out a ton, but I would also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first bold prediction in the article is that Bradley Beal will ask to stay in Washington, and as a result of that loyalty, he will sign the biggest contract extension in NBA history next summer with them. The Bradley Beal situation has been one of the more perplexing ones in the league lately for sure, with 2 conflicting possibilities always at odds with each other. Time and time again, he's maintained the notion that he wants to stay in Washington to try to build a winner there, but the fact of the matter is that it's just not very likely that it will happen anytime soon. This prediction, however, honestly doesn't even seem that bold to me, and if anything, it seems like the most likely outcome of the whole saga. If Beal holds out long enough, the Wizards would feel the need to reward him with that 5-year deal worth potentially $235 million, which is the most they can offer. And now that I think about it, this could honestly be the main motivation for Beal wanting to stay all along. The idea of staying loyal to the team is nice and obviously makes him look good to the general public, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if this hefty paycheck was the motivation behind it. Once this deal gets signed, he could also still end up being traded down the line, plus he would already have the bag secured. So out of the 5 predictions in this article we'll discuss today, this is one of the more lukewarm ones, honestly. The next bold trade prediction in the article is that Pascal Siakam ends up getting traded to the Golden State Warriors. So without Kyle Lowry on the Raptors, they're in a weird spot going into this season. Having missed the playoffs last year, it's definitely going to be a tough climb to reclaim a spot, but it's not impossible. Injuries did plague them a lot last year, and at full strength, this Raptors team has the talent to vie for a playoff spot. If they start the season strong, and Siakam himself has a nice rebound year, then I think the Raptors would definitely have no reason to sell at all. However, if they start slow and the Raptors then could very well look to cash out on Siakam while his value is still high and he has 3 years left on his contract. He's a borderline all-star talent, under contract for the near future, and the Warriors are very much in win-now mode. The biggest Warriors storyline of the summer has been that they've been trying to cash in on their assets for a win-now guy, but they just haven't found that deal yet. I never really thought of Siakam as a possibility, but now that Bleacher Report brings it up, honestly, it's kind of intriguing. Acquiring Siakam could allow them to go small ball, all in all the time, which is when the team has been at their best recently. He loves to run in transition, so he'll fit right into their style of play, and he brings two-way versatility to fit right into them and the way that they play. It will ultimately come down to how the Raptors start the season, but it's not completely out of the question at all as a possibility. The next prediction in the article is that the 76ers won't be able to get their asking price for Ben Simmons, so he will still be on the team to start the season to play himself back into favor around the league and up his value. So the title of the article is quote-unquote bold predictions, but honestly this is now the 3rd one in a row that doesn't even seem that bold necessarily. In fact, this is exactly what I've been thinking would be what happens for pretty much the entire offseason. Sixers general manager Daryl Morey is not a pushover, and he's made it abundantly clear that he's not going to trade Ben Simmons simply for the sake of trading him. With all of his weaknesses as a free throw shooter and reluctant scorer of the basketball, he is still an important part of the team, and any deal done for him is going to have to make the team better. Joel Embiid is at the peak of his basketball career right now, and there's no telling how long it will last, so they aren't going to give away Simmons for pennies on the dollar, making the team worse when they think they have a legitimate shot to keep this title window open to compete at the highest level. Right now, yes, their asking price is probably too much, but if Simmons comes out next year with a vengeance, looking to bounce back, and he balls out, looking confident, maybe shooting it more and playing aggressively, then there will be more interest in him as the trade deadline approaches, and that's honestly when I realistically think any trade for him would go down if it happens. The next bold prediction in the article is that Damian Lillard starts the season with the Trailblazers, but before Christmas gets traded to the Boston Celtics. Okay, now we're talking with actual bold predictions, and this one is certainly just that. For the first time ever, Damian Lillard has started to express some frustration with his situation in Portland, and despite no trade request coming yet, or even seeming to come soon necessarily, there are some warning signs of one potentially coming down the line. He made it abundantly clear that he wanted the Blazers to make some big moves to try to improve the roster and compete for a title this year. But instead of listening to him, they basically stayed put and opted to run it back with pretty much the same core of guys. The Blazers were a first-round exit in the playoffs last season, and with plenty of teams around them improving, and they themselves staying put, there isn't really much reason to be confident in that outcome changing in this year's playoffs. The Celtics are an interesting team to be in the mix for Lillard because it will all come down to whether or not they want to offer Jaylen Brown in that trade package. The Celtics have maintained the fact that they have zero plans to trade Jaylen Brown, but if the possibility of getting Damian Lillard presents itself, it will be very difficult to turn down the opportunity. Out of every team reportedly interested in trading for Lillard, the Celtics have one of the best packages on paper. It just comes down to whether or not they want to offer it. And finally, the last prediction in the article we'll be discussing today is a follow-up of the last one, but according to them, once Lillard gets dealt, then CJ McCollum would quickly follow suit at the trade deadline as the Blazers begin to rebuild. Honestly, if Lillard does get traded, then this basically needs to happen, because their ability to contend would be gone, and McCollum would garner plenty of interest by other teams. Getting the best package of assets in return for him would help set themselves up nicely for the future, especially when you factor in the hypothetical package of assets they would have already received from the Lillard trade, and from there, you can begin to plan your future. It's not going to be an easy decision to make, but it very well could be a reality Portland fans have to live with in just a few short months from now. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about these predictions from Bleacher Report. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.